All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little Golden State Warrior video. There's some Warrior news and notes as the offseason ahead is going to be very, very interesting. How do the Warriors get better? What do the Warriors do? Joe Lacob has claimed they're light years ahead of the rest of the NBA. Well, we're going to find out. We're going to find out if that's actually just boasting and bunch of bullshit, or if that's actually legit talk. Because the Warriors don't have a lot of assets, they don't have a lot of ways to get better, and yet they're hell bent on trying to reopen Steph Curry's title window in the twilight years of his Hall of Fame career. Can they do it? Right now, I'm totally skeptical. Why? They don't own a first round pick. They have a second round pick. They can use, I think, the mid level and the mini mid level exceptions if they can stay beneath the tax. Klay Thompson, is he going to come? Is he going to stay? Is he going to go? That we don't know. What do the Warriors really have to trade if they want to improve? I mean, that's the other question. How do they get better if they want to get better? So, couple of interesting notes around the Warriors that we want to report on here. One, according to Anthony Slater, the Warriors have spoken to Darvin Ham, and the Warriors have had some conversation with former Lakers head coach Darvin Ham in recent weeks, according to league sources. That isn't expected to materialize, but it is a signal of the Warriors' desire to add a big-name assistant, and indications are they're in search of either a former head coach or a former player to fill the void. Well, that's interesting. So obviously this wouldn't be to replace Steve Kerr. This would be to add to Kerr's staff. It does make you wonder about, all the talk surrounding the Warriors and some pursuit of Bronny and LeBron. Obviously LeBron played for Ham. There's a relationship there. I don't know if it's a good relationship or if it was a deteriorating relationship and this means nothing, but I do find it interesting that, that Darvin Ham, is a former Laker coach and could be a Warrior assistant and has a relationship with LeBron, and maybe it's a good relationship. Maybe LeBron would want to come to the Warriors. I personally don't want to see LeBron on the Warriors because I've been trained as a Warrior fan to hate LeBron all these years, and I can't really get beyond that. And I'd rather lose without LeBron than win another ring with LeBron. And that's just how I feel about it. I know there are lots of other people that are like, Krug, you're crazy. Why would you not want to win another ring? And if LeBron and Steph would be a great show and so on and so forth. I don't want to see it. I'd rather, I've seen the Warriors lose and have it be joyous. I've seen them win a title and contend for another title and have it be, almost like pulling teeth. So to me, I'd rather have a good vibe and a good season and lose in the second round of the playoffs than have some team that I don't really like with guys I don't really like and have them win it all. So that's just kind of where I'm at. But I understand why people want that. And to me, when you see the Warriors talking to Darvin Ham about an assistant coaching job, it does make you wonder, what's the attraction of Ham other than, once upon a time he was a decent NBA player, dunk contest guy, and has proven to be a decent coach. But it's not like they won the title in the bubble with Darvin Ham. They didn't. So what does Darvin Ham bring to the table? Well, maybe he's tight with LeBron and or some other combination of Laker players that the Warriors want to acquire. I don't know. That's the first thing I thought of. The other story out there that's even juicier than Darvin Ham is, according to reports, if the Miami Heat are willing to trade Jimmy Butler and his massive contract, and he decides he wants to force his way out of Miami for whatever reason, the Warriors are reportedly interested in trading for him. And the deal that I saw would be Kuminga, Podziemski, Moses Moody, Chris Paul, and just to make the money work, and then a future first. And I don't think I want to do that. I don't think. Now, Jimmy Butler, I like, and he's athletic, and he's, he would give the Warriors their Batman to their Robin to Steph being the Batman. So he would have that counterpart superstar. But are they really climbing to the top of the mountain with Jimmy Butler and and Steph, but no Kuminga, no Pajemski, no Moody? CP3 is moving on anyway. But I mean, Warriors basically have four guys in their roster that make up their young core: Kuminga, Pajemski, Moody, and Trace Jackson Davis. And in this scenario, you're only getting to keep Trace Jackson Davis. Jimmy Butler makes a boatload of cash, like $50 million. So they may even have to move more players than this to equal that 50 or to get within that 50, 10% of that 50 or whatever the NBA rules are as far as trades go. But that's interesting. That is interesting. Jimmy Butler and Anthony Slater has kind of verified he expects the Warriors to show interest in Jimmy Butler. So, it's really interesting. I mean, a lot of people, I thought Brandon Ingram, if he hit the trade market, man, I thought the Warriors would show interest in the New Orleans Pelicans forward. But if the Heat decide they're going to shop Jimmy Butler, it sounds like the Warriors are going to enter the conversation to at least some degree. So would I trade Kuminga and all these assets for Jimmy Butler? I would not. I'd stay with what they have and see if I could do this a different way. If Jimmy Butler were 3 years younger, I would consider it, but he's not, and I don't want to give up that. I don't want to give up 21-year-old Kuminga for a couple months of let's see what Steph and Jimmy Butler look like before we realize that the championship window is closed as far as Steph with the Warriors. So I would say no, I don't want to do it. But I'm sure there are people out there, and please leave your comments below in the comment section. Do you want to see Jimmy Butler in a Warrior uniform? Would you move Moody and Pajemski and Kuminga and Chris Paul's contract and a future asset, maybe in the first round, to Miami, all for Jimmy Butler, who makes $50 million a year and is a talented player, but he doesn't guarantee you a title? Or do you believe he does? There might be Warrior fans out there that think that you put Steph and Jimmy Butler together, that all of a sudden you've got a title contender. I don't see it. So I wouldn't do it. I don't like that move. And the other thing on the Warrior front that, are we seeing the final days of Klay Thompson with the Warriors? The Warriors offered him $48 million on a 2-year deal, and he was insulted by it. And I think that pretty much put a nail in his coffin as far as his time with the Warriors. Now there are teams that want him, and there'll be teams that will come after him. I don't know to what degree financially. Anthony Slater also mentioned the Warriors still wish to retain Klay at the right price. But, I think Klay needs to move on because Klay looks at his worth as a player tied to his salary. And he made a boatload of money when he was hurt, and the Warriors paid him every nickel. And you could argue he owes it to them to take less money and play for less money now because they paid him when he couldn't play at all. But I don't think that's the way he's thinking. I think he thinks that he still he's trying to dial it back to, the glory days. And I think for him, it would just be easier to be in a different role in Orlando than it would be to accept a lesser role with the Warriors. And the last thing, Klay Thompson was such a great teammate early on, but now I think that there's a heaviness to his presence on the team where he's having a hard time dealing with the twilight of his career, and it's impacting the rest of the team. And it's just time to move on. I mean, it's simple as that. I love Klay Thompson, but the last thing I want to see is Klay Thompson playing for some amount of money that the Warriors want and bitter about it. Nor do I want to see the Warriors bow to his ridiculous demands and pay him like a superstar when those days have clearly come and gone. So I just don't see a scenario where he's back in a healthy situation. I think the Warriors, because of the sensitivities of Steph and Draymond and some of Klay's biggest allies on the team that are going to remain on the team, that they still want to be in the mode of, hey, man, we want Klay. We want Klay. They don't want to be viewed as we kicked out Klay. No. Are they going to look Steph in the eye and say, yeah, your your best buddy that you've been playing with forever and won titles with, we just kicked him out. No, they want to be on the record as, hey, man, we offered him a reasonable amount and he wanted to go for big dollars elsewhere. They want it to be an image thing where it's like, he left us, we didn't leave him. We didn't dump Klay, he moved on to Orlando. And I think that's clearly the way the Warriors want to play it. So I think all of this talk about they still want to retain him. No, they don't. They don't want to retain him. They absolutely don't want to retain him. They want to retain him if he comes for 2 years at $30 million, but they don't want to retain him at anything close to his market value. His market value is probably, 20 to 25 million. I don't think they want to pay him 20 to 25 million. I think that's 5 to 10 million more than they want to pay him. I think they'd rather pay him like 2 years, $30 million, $15 million a year. That's still a boatload of cash. But they don't want to be pictured. They don't want to drive him away. They don't want to be the bad. Nobody wants to be the bad guy here. So they're going to let Klay go seek his value. And then they're just going to be like, hey, we can't match that. Good luck to you in Orlando. So I think he's moving on, and they're going to get nothing for it, right? And they blew that. They could have traded him at the trade deadline and gotten assets back, but they had one eye on doing the reset financially, and parting ways with him and taking nothing back in return is probably the best way to, get fiscal responsibility going with the franchise. And I think that's their interest. So I think Klay's probably gone, and I don't see them going after Jimmy Butler. The Darvin Ham thing's interesting just because of the connection to Bronny and LeBron, and is that the Warriors going down that road? So I'll say this is going to be the most interesting offseason in years for the Warriors, because Joe Lacob talked a huge game, and Mike Dunleavy is a talented young GM. He got Pajemski and Trace Jackson Davis with 19 and 57 in last year's draft. This year, I think they picked 52. And who knows? Are they going to trade Draymond Green? Are they going to move off of Kevon Looney? Are they going to move off of Gary Payton II? Are they going to shake up the roster? Are they going to trade for draft picks and try to unearth some gems in the draft? I think there's guys in the draft that I think could help Golden State. It's not like there's nobody out there that could help them in the draft. I think they could find some guys. I mean, just to give you a couple guys that I think could really help them. Baylor Shireman from Creighton reminds me an awful lot of a young Klay Thompson. I mean, he really can flat out shoot it. He's one of the great shooters in college basketball. They're saying he's going to go anywhere. They've got him going in the late 50s in round 2, maybe after the Chicago pre-draft. Maybe he goes in the late first. But I mean, if you could get a late first round pick, Baylor Shireman from Creighton would be a real nice 2-guard to add to this mix. Adam Bona, the big man for UCLA, who's about 6'9", 6'10", but has 40-inch vert and is a finisher, dunker. He's intriguing. Maybe you could pick him off in the second round. The other guy that I'm intrigued by is Mark Sears, the Alabama point guard, who is 5'10", 5'11", but he's really athletic and really good shooter, and he might be an undrafted guy who's not there at all. Then the Tyvon Grant Foster from Grand Canyon. I don't know if he's in this draft or not, because I think he was in. I'm not sure if he pulled out. But, I mean, he showed in the tournament that he's got the body of an Andrew Wiggins and a game where he can put it on the deck and get to the rim. And he's an exciting potential player down the road for sure. So those 4 guys stand out. Now, are any of those guys, or even if you added all those guys, would you be a championship contender? Probably not. Probably not. So this is going to be a very intriguing offseason. Do the Warriors go for Jimmy Butler? Do they go for LeBron? Do they go for Brandon Ingram? Do they make some kind of major move for a star? Do they get younger? Do they go draft assets and divest themselves of some of their, championship core? To me, this is going to be very, very interesting. Do they move Andrew Wiggins? Does anybody want Andrew Wiggins? Do they move Draymond Green? Does anybody want Draymond Green? There's a lot of talk that Detroit would like to have Draymond Green. Could you get Jalen Duren coming back in a trade for Draymond Green? And as far as who wants Wiggins, they're saying maybe Milwaukee, maybe Indiana, maybe Sacramento. Could you get something back that you like for Wiggins? So I mean, there's a lot of questions with the Warriors, but the rumors are they're showing interest in Jimmy Butler and they're talking to Darvin Ham. So there you go. That's the latest in Warriorland. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show, and thanks to our good sponsor as well, Sharp Corner Sports Cards and Collectibles. Check them out, 205 Cypress Avenue in the Monterey Peninsula and Pacific Grove. Call Anthony Catania at 831-521-5264. And thanks to all you guys for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.